MKUltra was a covert, illegal human experimentation program run by the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, from the early 1950s through at least the late 1960s, though some elements may have persisted longer. Officially sanctioned in 1953 under CIA Director Allen Dulles, it was driven by Cold War paranoia and the desire to counter perceived Soviet and Chinese advances in brainwashing and interrogation techniques. The program's primary goal was to develop methods for controlling human behavior, including mind control through the use of drugs, psychological manipulation, sensory deprivation, and other experimental techniques. Origins and context. MKUltra emerged in the wake of World War II amid fears that communist nations had perfected mind control technologies. Reports of American POWs in the Korean War making coerced confessions fueled this anxiety. The CIA, tasked with national security, sought to create its own tools for interrogation, espionage, and psychological warfare. The program built on earlier efforts like Project Bluebird and Project Artichoke, which explored hypnosis and drugs like sodium pentothal for intelligence purposes. MKUltra, however, was far broader and more ambitious in scope. Scope and operations. The program operated under the CIA's Office of Scientific Intelligence and later its Technical Services Staff, TSS. It involved over 150 sub-projects, many contracted out to universities, research institutions, hospitals, and private companies, often without the knowledge of the participants or even the institutions themselves. At least 80 institutions and 185 researchers were involved, including prestigious names like Stanford University and Harvard, though most participants were unaware of the CIA's role due to the use of front organizations like the Society for the Investigation of Human Ecology. The budget was substantial for its time. MKUltra was allocated 6% of the CIA's operating funds, roughly $10 million annually in today's dollars, though exact figures remain unclear due to destroyed records. It operated in extreme secrecy, with many documents deliberately obscured or coded. Methods and experiments. MKUltra's experiments were wide-ranging and often unethical, conducted on both witting and unwitting subjects, many of whom were vulnerable populations like prisoners, mental patients, or marginalized individuals. Key methods included 1. Drug administration. The CIA tested hundreds of substances, but LSD, lysergic acid diethylamide, became the centerpiece. Agents administered it to subjects to study its effects on consciousness, memory, and behavior. Other drugs included barbiturates, amphetamines, psilocybin, mescaline, and even marijuana. Doses were often dangerously high, and subjects were rarely informed. 2. Psychological manipulation. Techniques like hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and isolation were used to break down mental defenses. For example, subjects might be locked in soundproof chambers or subjected to endless loops of recorded messages to induce psychological collapse. 3. Electroshock and radiation. Some experiments involved electroconvulsive therapy, ECT, at extreme levels, far beyond therapeutic norms, to erase memories or reprogram behavior. Radiation exposure was also tested in a few cases. 4. Biological and chemical agents. The CIA explored toxins and incapacitating agents, sometimes in tandem with drugs, to see if they could disable or control individuals. 5. Sexual and social manipulation. In sub-projects like Operation Midnight Climax, CIA operatives dosed prostitutes and their clients with LSD in safe houses in San Francisco and New York, observing the effects through two-way mirrors. This was partly to test whether sex could be weaponized for blackmail or coercion. Key figures. Sidney Gottlieb, a chemist and the program's mastermind, Gottlieb oversaw MKUltra as head of the TSS's chemical division. Known as the Black Sorcerer, he personally approved experiments and even tested LSD on himself. Donald Ewan Cameron, a prominent psychiatrist, Cameron conducted brutal psychic driving experiments at McGill University's Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal. He used drugs, electroshock, and looped audio to de-pattern patients' minds, aiming to rebuild them, a process that left many permanently damaged. Frank Olson, a biochemist who worked on MKUltra, Olson was unwittingly dosed with LSD by colleagues in 1953. Days later, he fell to his death from a hotel window in New York under suspicious circumstances, later ruled a probable CIA cover-up. Notable cases. Unwitting subjects. In one infamous incident, CIA operative George White ran a brothel in San Francisco where clients were dosed with LSD without consent, their reactions studied for intelligence potential. Ken Casey, the author of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, volunteered for MKUltra experiments at Stanford, where he was given LSD. His experiences inspired his writing and the 1960s counterculture. Whitey Bulger, the notorious gangster, claimed he was given LSD as a prisoner in the 1950s during MKUltra experiments, which left him with lifelong insomnia and trauma. Exposure and aftermath. MKUltra remained secret until the 1970s, when it was exposed amid growing scrutiny of government overreach. In 1973, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered all MKUltra files destroyed, but some 20,000 documents survived due to a filing error. These surfaced during congressional investigations, notably the 1975 Church Committee and the 1977 Senate hearings led by Ted Kennedy. The revelation shocked the public. American citizens had been used as guinea pigs, often with devastating consequences, suicides, permanent mental damage, and ruined lives. The CIA admitted to the program's existence but downplayed its scope, claiming it was discontinued by the late 1960s. Skeptics argue remnants persisted under different names. Lawsuits followed, including a 1988 settlement with Canadian victims of Cameron's experiments who received $100,000 each. The U.S. government has never fully compensated American victims. Siege. Legacy. MKUltra's legacy is a mix of confirmed history and conspiracy lore. It demonstrated the lengths to which the CIA would go in the name of national security, violating ethical norms and human rights. Its techniques influenced later interrogation methods, though none conclusively achieved mind control. Today, it's a symbol of government overreach and a cautionary tale about unchecked power. Culturally, it's inspired books, films, e.g., The Manchurian Candidate, and endless speculation about whether similar programs continue in secret. The surviving records, declassified but incomplete, paint a chilling picture of a program that prioritized results over morality, leaving a trail of broken lives and unanswered questions. This has been a Shari Plaza presentation.